So, you don't talk about your music here, like your music career, because for those people who are watching, like they can clearly understand, by you getting goosebumps, by your facial reactions. Like when you watch this back here, you're gonna see like it's so beautiful to see like whenever we touch on certain moments of your like your music career, how you light up, you get me, how your face lights up, like so like where we are once again today, yeah, all full circle before we move on to other topics, yeah, like you see like with your music career, like in terms of like either you releasing your own music or like obviously like doing other performances and that, like where does everything stand with your music career in general?
Right now.
Right now.
So right now, I am in the studio. So I'm working on new music because I decided after the life affirming event of last year that at my big old age, which I'm not going to share with you because I don't have to, but at my big old age,
forget all of that, man. Forget the age, all of that, man. You look good. Right? You sound good.
Stay there.
You got an incredible journey. Even in the future, you got even more incredible things to get through. So it's like with the age thing, banda.
Yeah, it's a mindset. Age is a mindset.
Exactly. If you ask me, I'm 17 years old. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about me.
I'm stopped at 21.
Yeah. But yeah, man, age, it's how you really feel inside, isn't it? So, 100%. But yeah, so going back to your music, it's like,
so
what's
happening
now?
Yeah. So there's two different things happening. So I'm in the studio because I've decided that I need to make an album. I'm thinking about legacy. I'm thinking about if I am not here anymore, what do I want people to know about me as an artist? I've spent a lot of my musical career writing for other people, so doing top lining for other people. So it's not my music necessarily. It's not although it'll be my words. It's not always my sole expression because sometimes you're writing to a brief or a particular topic that people want to write to. And Nightgeist was happy, clappy, club kind of music. So it's not my sole expression. It's not the authenticity of who I am as a human being. This is me now. This is telling my stories, my tales. So I'm in the studio at the minute. We've got three tracks I think that goes for the album, but lots of not. Lots that got going there. So that's one thing. We're back in the studio, working with a couple of different producers to get an album down. I'm not rushing myself in this process, and I'm actually thinking about applying to why is my brain not remembering words today? I want to see the PRS Music Development Fund. So I want to apply to some of the development funds to see, and the Arts Council, to see if I can get some funding to support the development of this album. My whole musical journey has been a lot about supporting other artists and giving platforms to other artists. And then with obviously what's happened last year, it's given me that shake up about I'm doing all this for other people, but I still haven't done this for myself. So
for you,
So I'm going to try and apply for some funding, which will obviously help elevate it because we all need money to do these things. So that's one side of things. Then on the other side of things, I'm teaching myself how to produce. So I'm learning Logic at the minute. I'm a songwriter and I always use GarageBand to songwrite because that translates quite nicely to
big up GarageBand, by the way.
Hey, GarageBand crew, that changed my life, yeah?
Somebody tried to teach me how to use it. It's like, and I just never had no patience. But it's like, overall, it's good though.
It is good. And it communicates really well with Logic. Most of us have an iPhone or a tablet of some description, so it's easy for us to get it, and then you can get your ideas down and have something to actually take to the studio with you. But now I want to do more writing for dance industry. So my vision is creating myself as a big voice in the dance industry. So working with lots of different producers, creating top lines. So I'm learning to record myself properly at home. So I've built myself a home studio, and my home studio system is based around my iPad Pro. So I don't have a Mac. So I've gone down the other route. I've gone down the iOS route. So my whole home studio is built around that. Learning how to use Logic so that I can create a backlog of top lines to kind of sell to other producers and stuff. So two things: my artistic expression and getting out my story and the stories that I want to tell as an artist, but also thinking about money in the business side of things, and then actually using my voice to sell more top lines and generate a bit more income.
You're doing a lot.
Two long things at the minute, as well as the events.
Yeah.
We also run an LGBT night. We started that in May of this year, so that goes every 4 months. That's a red carpet, high-end, private table, bottle service, fancy schmancy kind of event. So I have that. I have Live on the Thames. We now have the O2 Academy Islington as well. So that plus running a cappella and doing my consultancy, as well as then trying to write and get in the studio, as well as then trying to manage my general daily exhaustion because I'm pretty much tired most of the time. It's a lot. It's a lot, and it's just me. And sometimes I feel like I've bitten off way more than I can chew. But I'm a Gemini, and there's lots of personalities in here, so they all come to the forefront to do the different tasks that they need to do. Right?
Can I randomly just ask you a question about signs? Yeah, like I went through like a little process, a little phase where I kind of believed in the signs and all of these things. But where I am right now is like I feel like all of the traits that each sign says that you are, whatever. I feel like nearly every person kind of got those traits anyway. Every human being, like for you, like star signs, just in general, like.
So I'm not into horoscopes. I'm not into reading the horoscopes in the paper and believing that as truth. Yeah. But in terms of personality traits within groups of people, I absolutely think that.
I'm a Scorpio moon. What does that mean?
Hey, get away from me.
How dare people say that? I'm a Scorpio moon.
Scorpio boys, I find, are better than Scorpio girls.
Yeah.
Are you a bit of a gossip?
Not really, you know.
No.
With my ex, she was kind of like my best friend, so.
The pillow talking.
Like,
that's something else, eh?
Yeah. but it's like since then, it's like, me and the man don't really gossip, you know, so it's like, but.
I think we love a label as a society, right? We love a label.
Just labels, like,
yeah. Oh, you're a Gemini, you must be two-faced. Oh, no, I have multiple faces, honey. Multiple. What one you get depends on how you interact with me. It's not two.
Because so many...
Gemini, man.
My missus quite often says, she'll never need another woman because she's got about 50 in one.
Fucking hell. Yeah. That's a bar right there, yeah. And even another perfect segue as well, I wanted, obviously, once again, it's like, I've tried to reach out because I got nothing to hide, whatever. I've tried to reach out to quite a few people from the LGBT community because once again, it's like, we're building a platform here. One day people will understand, to be fair, but we're building a platform here to have, to have a laugh, but at the same time, to have genuine conversation to understand the person or to understand certain things, right? It's very simple. And I think hence why that's what reality should be about, really. You get what I'm trying to say? And unfortunately, like, I haven't had, like, we haven't been really successful in terms of, like,
people have been worried about what your agenda is or how they're perhaps going to be treated.
I've explained numerous times. You got what I'm trying to say?
Big old lesbian here now, so, you've opened up the doorway. All the gays are coming through.
And it's like, and even, like, with the community, because, okay, like, growing up, all of us understand you're gonna get some fucking ignorant people. That's part of life, and then you're gonna get people like us who just want to understand. And it's like for people like us who want to understand, it's like I find it. Maybe this is the right word. I find it a little bit frustrating. Meaning, it's like, I want to understand you guys' community a lot more, but it's like you guys are not willing to open up. You guys are not willing to have some conversation with us. You get me?
Some of the
what is that? Yeah, why? Why is that?
The biggest challenges around that is there's a fear of not being accepted. But I want to kind of flip that on its head and say that not everybody has to accept you, Not everybody has to agree with your lifestyle choices. Religion is a factor for some people. Some people live their life, within the doctrine, and that clearly says that certain things are wrong in their their worldview or their way of living life. And I think that's okay. It's okay for you not to be comfortable. What's not okay is for you to treat me negatively because of it. You don't have to accept me and embrace my life as a gay woman who is in my crotches. Basically, ain't none of your business, son. Do you know what I mean? It's not a level that we need to meet on. Let's meet on a level of love and positive vibrations and what we're doing for humanity. And let's meet on that level, not who is in my bedroom. But at the same time, I think a lot of the resistance that the LGBT community experience is that this demand to be accepted, this expectation that everybody has to embrace their lifestyle or get on board with that. It's not realistic. It's not realistic at all. It's also not fair because individuals have their own value bases about how they view the world and how they experience life. What we shouldn't do is be hurting people or preventing them from, jobs or access to education or access to medicine or, just basic common decency in the street. But at the same time, we also have to respect other people's point of view. And I don't agree sometimes with the use of religion, how our community will sometimes mock the religious element and beliefs of others, because I think that is just as discriminatory in the reverse as what we get the other way round.
Totally.
But I also do understand that religion and those kind of places have excluded us for a very long time, and so there's a lot of hurt and healing that needs to happen on both sides.
Yeah.
Another thing that's challenging for me, I think, as a gay woman at the moment, is the trans agenda. And I don't want to get into it too much because I think it can be quite a contentious issue, and I believe that everybody has the right to live in their purpose and their truth.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in transitioning children. I don't believe in giving children chemicals that block their puberty and their development before they've even had a chance to know who they are. I think as teenagers, every single person goes through a crisis of identity because you're learning who you are as a human being. And I think if we're interjecting with chemicals and permanent solutions to what may be temporary emotions in those periods of time, I think we are causing great harm. And that doesn't take away from my trans brothers and sisters who genuinely feel like they're in the wrong body and they want to be living as an alternative gender. I think as an adult, if that's a decision you're making for yourself as an adult, that's absolutely fine. That's not a decision that anybody should be making for children. And we're in a situation where parents were being vilified for not supporting. There are cases where, the medical profession have gone around parents and provided medications for things that, have a permanent resolution for that.
Is there like, because I had a little something that I done like a live, I think it was last year, and obviously we spoke, a few people, I went live and a few people came into the conversation, and I saw something that triggered me, as a father, like something like you said, like with me, once again, like you said, I totally agree with you, like with whatever anyone wants to do with their bodies behind closed doors, to enjoy, even like in the African way, I say enjoyment, enjoy it, do your thing. But for me as a parent, like when it comes to, like you said as well, like when these things start, like when things start going to like kids, into schools, into like, trying to get...
See, that's a really difficult area, isn't it,
isn't
it? Like education, schools. Where is the line with that? I mean, let's go straight back to like primary school, and we start teaching children about sex education at primary school. What does the primary school age child need to know anything about sex education?
Let kids be kids.
Exactly.
That was literally, I've always said that. Let kids be kids.
We talk about kids not being kids anymore, and that they're too grown in the way that they're thinking, what they're experiencing, and what they're seeing. It's what us as adults are allowing them. It's what us as adults are putting the agendas into their sphere. Yeah. So,
crazy.
Why is a 5-year-old questioning whether they're a girl or a boy because of the information that they've been getting from teachers? So there's bigger conversations that need to be had.
That's what I was going to say.
This is not discriminatory. This is not putting down a certain group and saying you're right and you're wrong. Yeah. But actually, as parents, we should have the right to choose the information that's fed to our children, especially at such young and impressionable ages. I think when you start getting to secondary school, that might be more appropriate to start talking about sex education. I didn't have sex education until I was 15, yeah? I'll tell you how old I am, guys. Here we go back the ways there. But I was 15. I was in year 10 when I first had sex education, and that felt like it was appropriate. You're starting to get into relationships, having boyfriends and girlfriends.
Your body's slowly changing.
Exactly. You've gone through puberty, certain things are growing, and all that. That's appropriate.
Yeah.
I don't think it's appropriate to be talking about same-sex relationships, different sex relationships, heterosexual relationships. I don't think any of that is relevant to an 8-year-old kid. It's just not appropriate.
Do you know what shocks me about this conversation, this topic that we're talking about, yeah? Do you know what really, really shocks me, like, more than anything? Those parents who give the green light to those parents who actually think... I literally want to, like, speak to some of those parents to actually try to understand keyword once again. It's like...
It's that woke mentality, isn't it? Because in the media perception, we're being taught that we have to accept this in the media perception, right? So when you sit down and you actually have real conversations, even with people in the trans community, gay people, straight people, when you sit down and actually have real conversations, everybody agrees that children should not be involved in this agenda, right? It's not, but up here, we're being told that we must be inclusive, and we must all agree, and you must allow a person to be who they are regardless of what age they are. When I was 3,
Regardless
I
of what
thought I
age,
was a hamster. Do you know what I mean? Does that mean that my mum's going to put me in a cage and feed me nuts for the next 5 years? No, it's our job to shape and mould the minds of the future.
Exactly.
And we can't do that if we can't have honest conversations. We can't do that if we're frightened to say, actually, I don't actually agree with that. I don't actually think that, a 12-year-old should be able to transition, or I don't actually agree that we should be teaching about LGBT issues in school. I don't agree that you should go into a classroom and there's a flag on the wall. Those are respectful conversations. That doesn't mean that I write off your whole existence and everything that you stand for. It's just about we're coming from different sides of the spectrum, and we need to meet in a middle ground in a way that helps us grow as a society, in a way that helps our children evolve in positive, healthy, sustainable ways. Because a lot of the agenda at the moment is supporting the pharmaceutical industry and the medical community because they're making customers for life. They're not actually really talking about some of the repercussions that some of these surgeries and things can actually have on the people that are having them. You're making it seem like it's all wonderful. And so parents, I feel the pressure, the woke agenda, to be seen as doing the right thing, even when it's not the right thing. It's just up here in the headlines, in the media headlines, it's telling us it's the right thing. But actually, when you dig down into your morals and values and what feels right in the core of me, that does not feel right. So I think it's about being able to have honest and respectful conversations.
I don't think they've come to a conclusion with that one. That one's still.
We're still, and leading into that, part of the reason why I created Oral, so that's my new LGBT night. Oral spelled AURAL.
Is that like oral sex?
So I knew you were going to say that. So
I'm a dirty. No.
Now we know, guys. Now we know. We heard it. He slipped.
Yeah.
That's it. We know now. He's a dirty.
To be fair, I think there's a lot of people are going to be watching this. Like, I thought the same thing as well, oral. But yeah, sorry.
Yes, but obviously it's a play on words.
Yeah.
It's meant to make you think that. Because the reason that I started this night was because we have been getting a hell of a lot of negative press within the LGBT community. Homophobia is on the increase. Acceptance of that kind of lifestyle is on the decrease. There are a lot of people kind of getting attacked, and those kind of things are increasing. And what I wanted to do with Oral was show a different side to us, because the LGBT community, especially in terms of the nightlife and things, is very overly sexualized. Everything is focused on a sexualized agenda. That's how they sell it. And actually, I'm a multifaceted human being and individual. Being a lesbian is just one part of my identity, of who I am. It's not my whole. And so the whole part of Oral was to provide a space that elevated the LGBT community.
That's all good.
Elegance, glamour, red carpet, couture. Remember going out and wearing shoes? You boys are probably too young for that, yeah? Nobody wears shoes nowadays, but just that...
I was going to lie and say I remember those days.
You don't remember those days.
They wear platforms. It's all about platforms.
I even see some of the posts, even once again on the page. It looks like those...
Just
the event
elevating.
you're talking about, it actually looks really good.
Elegant, elevating the nightlife scene, giving a touch of class, which is not really so much out there, and also showing a different side to who we are. So bringing together music, fashion and art. So the visual displays are like photography of positive images from industry leaders, thought provokers, change makers in our community. That's what's showing on your visual displays on the evening. You've got the red carpet where you can dress up to the nines and go and pose up with your friends. You've got private tables. So the whole idea came about was because we've been having such a negative viewpoint of who we are as a community, and I wanted to show a different side of who we are, a side that isn't about sex, a side that is about art and our creativity and our natural flair, and bringing that all together. So that's kind of how Oral came about. And the name was me trying to be clever, really.
Well, you got
so
me
the kind
in
of the play
so
is the
you
play on
fucking
words.
work, innit? Because you got me in there. You blew me
When
out.
you hear gay, when you hear that someone's gay, do you make an automatic assumption about that person? A lot of people do, right?
Yeah.
You guys might not, because you're quite mentally evolved, but a lot of people, when you hear LGBT, you'll make an automatic assumption as what it's about. When you hear Oral, you make an automatic assumption about what it's all about. But Oral is actually an auditory landscape. It's about sound. It's about elevating through sound,
Tell them.
soundscapes, music, the connection, like an oral auditory experience. It's not about sex.
Yeah.
And the LGBT community is not about sex. It's about who you love.
I have to say, a good few years ago, I did some security work at Pride. I have to say, man, people having a fucking good time, and I can't lie, man. Fuck me, bro. Like,
but there's a line with that too, right?
Yeah.
There's a line with Pride.
Yeah, there's
So,
a fine line to that. Yeah.
You know, it was LGB, and then it was LGBT, and then it was LGBTQ, and then it was LGBTQIA plus.
Yeah,
it's all those extra pluses, intersex and
yeah. What are your thoughts on that? As someone who's in the community, what are your thoughts on that? Because yes, over the years,
I think that's
there's been
something
letters
different.
has been added on. Letters.
I think it's something different, and this is why I talk about there being an agenda on the LGBT front. There's an agenda.
That's what I've been hearing.
And the scary thing is that when you unpick and you look at why this agenda is, or what people's views on why this agenda is,
So many people tell me
it's to
different
normalise
reasons.
paedophilia.
Yeah, I got.
It's to they're trying to tag that onto the end of our little rainbow umbrella. That's the view anyway. I don't
I
have
got told
concrete
numerous
evidence
times,
that is what is happening.
A few people
but
have told me as well, but I didn't
when you
really know.
explore it and you
Yeah.
unpick it, minor attracted persons is a thing now. It's not paedophilia anymore.
Jesus
You're
Christ.
supposed to call them a minor attracted person.
What?
And in government and in conversations in certain countries, things are being decriminalised. The custodial sentences are going down in terms of the amount of time. When you look at the amount of allegations that there are of sexual abuse and exploitation within our own parliament, within our own power
The
structure.
royal family.
Oh, mate, let's not even go down that.
Let's
road.
not go down there, man.
But we know. If you know, you know.
I want my red chair to stay here for a long time. bro.
right. We ain't getting taken down just yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think there is something that feels sinister in the agenda. It doesn't feel about making sure that I have equal rights as a gay woman, because for me to have an equal right, it requires me to take away somebody else's right, and that's not equality. So for me to be accepted as a gay woman, I have to take away your right to be uncomfortable.
That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense,
And doesn't
does it,
feel right.
So therefore, we're actually only supporting parts of the community, and therefore that's why it feels a bit nefarious. It isn't really about equality. It isn't making sure that everybody has equal equity, because if they did, then your voice would matter in your dissent just as much as mine matters in my agreement, and it's not like that. And it just feels like it's being pushed more and more faces. It's being targeted at a younger demographic, and so that all feels like it's heading towards an agenda or an intended outcome.
It's like a perfect way that you said it. So, like, even at the beginning of this conversation, this topic here, when we started, like what we said, let people do whatever they've got to do and whatever. So, like, fast forward with what you just said now, once again, this for me, this is when I call it logging out. This is when it comes to the LGBT community and all of these things, besides when we spoke about transgenders and things into schools and whatever, even with this, like, because obviously I'm thinking to myself, cool, if people are just gonna do whatever they've got to do and be free, once again, I'm happy with it. But once things are not making sense anymore, things are getting blurred, and I'm starting to get a vibe of like, yo, there's like an agenda going on here. This is when I'm thinking, look, it doesn't matter if this is religion or whatever, the LGBT community, this agenda here that seems like it's going on here, I'm not fucking with it. That's when I start to question the community, because it's like...
I guess when an agenda starts to restrict another's freedom, it's no longer about equality and freedom, is it? And if we... I don't want to keep picking at trans I have an issue, but we can just use that as a really kind of a simple way of explaining it. The rights of women, the rights of biologically born women are being overtaken by the rights of trans women. So a biological woman having to share a bathroom or a space with a trans woman, if you don't feel comfortable with that, your rights as a biological woman are being superseded by the rights of a trans woman. And therefore, is that really equality? Is that really equity? It's not. It's not. I completely uphold your right to live your life as a trans woman, but I will always see you as a trans woman. And it's those kind of things where you're trying to make me go against logic. You're trying to make me go against the scientific understanding of what is and what. But they do believe it, because when you actually try and challenge and unpick it with them, they can't give you a concrete answer. And lots of my trans friends don't agree with this agenda at all. They see themselves as a trans woman. And so this is a new thing. That we're not trans women, we're women. This is a new thing, a new branch of the agenda. And sometimes I think they just, government or, you know, the think tanks and the powers that be, just throw these things into the pot to just blow shit up again. You know, you're going to tell me that what my logic and my eyes and my knowing of self and humanity, you're trying to tell me that that's not the case. I fully respect your life, your right to live it, if that's your truth and that's the truth that you want to live for yourself. But it also respects my right to say that that's not the truth.
It's gone as far as even going into sports as well.
Yes, but they've started to cull that now. Have you seen? And that's good, because somebody who's born biologically a male is going to be stronger physically than the woman. Your muscle structure is built different, and that's just a fact of biology. And the fact that they were. This is why I think some of it is part of an agenda. It's like they're deliberately trying to cause divide by doing something that they know is not fair. You can't put somebody who is biologically stronger against somebody who is biologically weaker and call that equality and equity. That doesn't work. But they've been trying to convince the nation.
What a crazy dynamic.
Some of the women are speaking out. People
are frightened to go against the grain and say, I'm sure I will get a bit of backlash from this conversation. I'm sure I will get a little bit of, unappreciation from some of my trans allies and community, but it's the real of how I see the situation. I will respect your right to be a trans woman, respect my right to be a woman.
Usually I use I used to use swearing words and all of these crazy things, but I'll be honest with you, like going back a good few months ago, I went swimming with my kids, I took my kids swimming, Do you know, I felt, I couldn't even really put it into words, but the word that I can actually use now, is upset. Honestly, when I walked into the changing rooms, because remember before, everything used to be separate, right? Before, male, female, you go into and say, it used to be separate.
And family, that's
and
normally
family,
the category,
literally,
isn't it?
and family, you got into and say. So, honestly, Bekka, when I walked into the changing room for the first time and I realised this, where it's like you're seeing women, you're seeing little girls, everybody's all mixed up in the same changing rooms and all of these things. Honestly, as a father with my kids, even, I'll be completely honest with you because I don't want to use my kids, but even if I walked in there by myself, I looked around and I would have seen...
uncomfortable.
I felt uncomfortable and just upset, what? This doesn't make sense. Honestly, man, this changing room thing, honestly, even now just talking about it upsets me because I'm thinking, what's really going on here? Because at the end of the day, it's once again, all of these things, why bring it into other people's lives? Because like you said earlier, it's imagine, why do I have to compromise my beliefs for you to get what you want? You got to say that. You said something similar earlier. And once again, overall, in a nutshell, this is what sometimes I really don't get about the LGBT community, because it's you some of the things they're doing is I need to compromise my beliefs.
This is the thing when I say about agendas. Is it community on an individual level that's doing it, or is it an agenda on a higher level that's telling us how we need to behave? That's one of the biggest questions. Or telling us what rights we need to be fighting for. Because I think when you sit down and actually have a real conversation and start unpicking things, logic prevails. If you're talking to somebody who's relatively, cognitively sound, then logic will prevail once you start to have that conversation.
It's actually true.
Yeah, because I feel